frozen up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there in the crowd. You came into my life and started a fire. You made me feel like I could touch.
Hi there, how's it going? Hi everyone, I am Bonnie Violet. I am a transgender queer spiritual drag artist and digital chaplain. And you have found yourself at Say Something um, Sunday. This is the second episode of Say Something Sundays, where I am taking 20 minutes or so to say something that's been on my mind, on my heart, on the tip of my tongue over the last little while. And so last week I spoke about the no longer being desperate, but having a desire for God. So I talked about the just having a desire versus desperation for God. So check out that episode if you want to hear more about that. So um, this evening, I am going to be speaking on the delusion or illusion of brokenness and separateness. I have, and I'll explain that a little bit more now. So, with like brokenness and separateness is something that, I will say I have been plagued with that idea or that concept probably most of my life. I think as many queer folks or folks who are different, we always feel that we're separate from, like we don't feel like we're a part of, that maybe hi Charlie, that maybe that somehow that we just don't fit and that we're all alone in this world. And the brokenness, I mean, I think that that happens as life happens to us over time. I think we've all had plenty of experiences that have left us, I don't know, perceiving ourselves as broken. Um, and in the process of um, healing and really coming to a space of living whole and wholeheartedly. One of the things I've really been trying to do the last um, couple of years or so is really try to bring all of who I am wherever I am. And for me, if I decide to not bring a part of myself, or this I think will be interesting, but I always said, like, if I decided not to bring a part of myself, then it was a choice that I made, because I made the choice, not necessarily, hopefully not out of fear or because, like, I don't know, some sort of outside force, but I made the decision to not bring that aspect with me into that particular setting and situation. But as I went through the process of kind of um, I want to say healing from my brokenness. And I also want to combat the idea that we ever were really broken. But as I've been going through the healing process and talking with other folks about kind of going through their healing process, is in one of the things that, as a spiritual person, coming to have an understanding and a spiritual way of life has caused me to, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like filled in those spaces that I felt like I was missing or felt like that I was lacking. And the more that I'm kind of with those beliefs and with that experience, the more I'm seeing that, you know, that it was always there all along. My spirit was there with me all along. What I understand to be God, or what I understand to be the purpose of life, or my purpose of life, or um, all that sort of stuff, like all of that was true even then. Even when I thought I was broken, I was actually whole, and I was not alone, and I was not without God or without this spiritual. I for folks who, you've listed, like, God to me is like, it's more of an umbrella term. So insert what you will. God has just kind of been my experience and has often just been kind of like the easiest thing to call my understanding of of creation and existence and um, all of that all of that fun stuff. So the idea of us not being I think that a lot of the brokenness is like it's a perception, like it's something that is very real to us and it's something that we can live as if it's true. And there's a lot of reasons why I think that we do feel fragmented or broken or see ourselves in these ways. And sometimes it might seem like a lot of strategies or a lot of old behaviors or things that we used to do, they kind of protected us or they kept us safe. And to be honest with you, like I don't have an opinion on like like I don't have a like living broken or seeing myself as broken is part of my experience. I don't see that as a bad thing or a like thing that I shouldn't have thought or I shouldn't have experienced. The thing that I'm questioning now or that I'm coming to see and understand is that maybe seeing that I wasn't broken, that I was always whole, that I was always connected to my understanding of God or my understanding to all these sorts of things, um, can just help me be like better in my now. So like if I can see myself as a whole healed person who don't get me wrong isn't like perfect and doesn't have any like um difficult things or even but just somebody who's I don't know, I think it's been helpful for me to not see myself as broken and to realize that potentially I never was. I've lived in my brokenness. I've lived in when I lived in that belief of brokenness, I didn't engage with all parts of myself. I would have a lifestyle and a conversation over here with folks. And then when I was with another group of folks, it was a different lifestyle potentially in conversations that we were having. Um, and part of that was, out of safety or whatever, it took me a while to come to be okay with a part of myself. And it was really helpful for me to be with people that are more like that rather than just like out with everyone. And I think that we all have that experience regardless of I think our sexuality or our gender or any of those sorts of things. I think just us as human beings, we have parts of ourselves that we feel um, maybe we just feel insecure about how they're going to be perceived by the rest of the world or even ourselves or whatever. And sometimes it can be helpful to have those spaces and those places where we just deal with those parts of ourselves. But one of the things that I guess I'm just coming to question and ponder is though, like, are we not bringing all that other stuff with us even when we think we aren't? If we are, in fact, whole beings always, which I think that we are, and we are actually connected to everyone and everything, and that what I do impacts the people around me, and what they do impacts me. Like that that's all like, to me, I feel like that's all, like, the truth, right? And I can pretend that my actions and my behaviors don't impact, the people around me, or maybe I just think that, "Oh, like, I'm the only one who's being harmed in this situation," or, "I'm the only one who's" blah blah blah. And you can focus this on the sense of like negative stuff that like what I'm doing is hurtful or harmful to other people. But I think we can also take it to the end of like um why not pass good things? Why not um why not when I do well and I do good, how why not it impact the people around me in a positive way? Why would it need to why would somebody have to lose in order for me to gain? Like, that's just not the tr I don't think that that's just it's hard because I do think that that's how a lot of us live, and that's how we perceive things, so it is our reality. I'm just wondering if it would be helpful to kind of let go of that idea, and if we were really connected with the fact that we were, like, whole, full beings, connected with everyone, that you know, we might be a little different, and it's been difficult because I know that a lot of that happens from like being hurt and harmed by the fact that we're not separate, the fact that we are connected, the fact that so we've been hurt, we've been harmed, and so we've learned how to um, not pay attention to or shut off parts of ourselves. But I think it's like always it's always there. I kind of the way that I can maybe relate to it, it's like maybe you have like for me, I can think about some people that I was in relationship with that I was having a really hard time um, just showing up in a way that I wanted to or show up as often. And part of that was is I felt like I needed to share something that I wasn't really willing to share with them. And so I wasn't in their day to day. I wasn't calling them regularly. I wasn't showing up. And so in some ways I would think that we were separate from or that we weren't connected or that I often say there was a distance that came between us. And I think the reality of it is my relationship with them changed. The things that I did in relationship to them, I began to do differently. And I did experience it as being more distant or from a space of separation. And maybe that was helpful. And maybe it's not anymore to kind of think of it that way. If I understood that regardless of whether or not I was showing up in their life or not, that we were still connected, um, might I do things differently? Might I feel less anxious? Might I feel less scared? Might I be able to have better communication? Might I, a lot of these sorts of things. Might I come to know the truth sooner and faster and maybe even with more ease in the long run? Um, I feel like no matter what I've done my whole life, I always come back to the same place. I come back to the same place of me and me, all of me. The idea that I'm all of me, all my pieces, everything, whether I like it or not, is here with me. Um, like it's all here with me, and that I also I'm not alone, and I can't do it alone. And I talked a lot about like the desire versus desperation, and um, I think it really connects a lot with this idea here as well. But I've come to a space in my life that I desire for um, companionship. I desire to not do everything alone. I desire to have somebody like say, "Hey, did you call your doctor about your hormones? I heard you were struggling with getting them. What's going on with that?" Or um, those sorts of things. And I can continue to do life to some degree all on my own, right? All by myself. Um, but I want to, and it's not the truth. Like it's just not the truth of it all anyway. So I think what I've been trying to do is just kind of change um, my perception moving forward, and to really try to put that even if I can't fully live into the idea that, brokenness and separateness isn't real, that it's not a real experience or whatever, or that it's not helpful or whatever. Just because I move into the direction of that belief does not mean that I'll always act as if that's the truth. I will not, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's kind of like a way of putting a something to move toward, an understanding to maybe live beyond. And I guess, if we're wanting, I mean, and some of it just kind of makes sense that if we're wanting to be healed from our brokenness, then we would move forward as if we're not broken, right? We wouldn't be experiencing ourselves as broken any longer. So it just kind of makes sense in that way as well. Hi Dominique, I see your heart. I'm just kind of rambling a little bit tonight. It's great to see you there, Dominique, and to hear from you. Um, yeah, so I don't want to belabor this, and I don't necessarily know that spoke well to the delusion or the illusion of brokenness and separateness. It's something that I'm still kind of floating around in my head, and this last week on the podcast with my aunt. We talked about it a little bit as well. And it's something that I've just been kind of like, I don't know, it's just something that was laid on my heart and my mind and my spirit was this idea of the delusion or illusion of brokenness and separateness. So I'm going to, um, wrestle with that a little bit more and kind of like lean into it. And, like with a lot of things in our, like a lot of our experiences, it takes me a while to put words to my understanding and to my experience. Like sometimes I feel like my words haven't quite caught up to my experience. Dominique is saying, uh, do you know about conscious recovery? They start from wholeness. I'm not as familiar with conscious recovery, but it sounds good. um, and the idea of like wholeness, yeah. I mean, I feel like that's like the truth of everything is that we are actually whole, and it's just coming to reveal and understand that that's the truth. Like that's just that we are whole. We're whole, we're one. So like we're one within ourselves, right? Like all of our little parts is one, but we're also one with the earth and the creatures and the humans and God and all that we're one. And yeah, I know that sounds a little like hokey or whatever, but um I've come to see, I don't know, I've just come to believe that. Dominique is saying that the Conscious Recovery is by TJ Woodward for folks who are curious to know more about that, and I'll check it out as well. And Dominique also says that we are not separate. So it's been right around 20 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I will be doing this again next week, every Sunday at 6 p.m., just for a quick moment to just say something that's on my mind. And I listed in the description a few options of topics in the upcoming weeks. And I'm not sure which one I'm going to focus on for next week. So you might have to just keep an eye out to see once the announcement goes out on what the topic is for this next week. And if you have a suggestion or would like for me to talk about something that you either see on the list or don't, feel free to direct message me or reach out to me at some point throughout the week. Thanks so much for joining, Dominique, and for all the comments, and Charlie as well. You all take care and have a great night. And bye bye.
I've been waiting all my life for something. I've been down the darkest roads and up